Hey, welcome to Talking Hail. This is Derek Ciapola with Jared Timms and Nate Green, and we're back in this out for this weekend. A lot to talk about. Pitchers and catchers reported this last week. Jared, how you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. It's been a fun week. Been a very fun week of, just news. And there's so many free agents still left out there. It's gonna be so interesting to see what happens here in the coming days and weeks. They got to start signing eventually, right?
I think
Maybe?
so.
Yeah,
I,
guess not.
tell me if I'm wrong. And I guess I'll pass to Nate next because he's gonna talk yet. But Nate, tell me when was the last time you've seen so many free agents last this long? We're getting close to March here. 10 days.
You,
March.
you you did have it last year a little bit because of the lockout, or 2 years ago because of the lockout, excuse me. And I mean, anytime Scott Boras is involved, you're going to have this happen because Scott Boras is going to do whatever he can for his client to get as much money as possible, and it's really a Scott Boras problem. It's not an anyone else problem.
Well, I think it's more than Scott Boras. But he's a big part of the problem.
Well,
Always
when
has
Jo-
been.
He
well, when Jordan Montgomery wants $35 million, you can blame whoever you want on that.
it's mostly Scott Boras because Scott Boras is telling his clients Blake Snell's worth $45 million. It's like Blake Snell isn't worth $45 million, but whatever.
Yeah, wait, what about that rumor today that from was it Bob Nightingale from USA Today saying they're checking to see the Yankees are checking to see if Snell will
Yep.
take a short term, 35
Yep.
million. If I'm Snell, I'm not taking a short term. I'm 31 years old. I'm one injury away from that being it. Nope.
You gotta take what you can take, though. Nobody's gonna give you it. You gotta
He's
take something.
I mean
Because the
three,
Yankees
three,
did
four
offer him a
year deal.
really good contract before they signed Stroman. They offered him six at 25 a year, and he goes, "I'm not taking anything less than 7 years at 30." And it was like, whoa, 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 like, come on. And
All right,
so
so what is he worth?
he's worth 5 for 125.
He's worth whatever anybody's willing to pay him.
That gets him to age 36 and 25 mil a year. That's what he's worth. With his up and down career, he's got two Cy Youngs. Congrats. But he's thrown 180 innings twice in his career, both his Cy Young years. He's pitched for 7 years. Like, you're rolling the dice on him actually throwing over 110 innings.
I don't know about 125. I don't know about 125. He's worth a little more than that, but it's not much more. We're not that far apart on it. Nonetheless, it does surprise me. Hey, no, the big one that surprises me though is our boy out there from former Dodger, former Cub.
Scott Boras again.
Oh my gosh, sign me! My gosh, Bellinger needs to sign somewhere. Where do you think he's going?
I still think the Angels make the most sense, especially with Artie coming out the other day and saying stupid comments like he does. We're in the entertainment business. We're not in the winning business, according to Artie. And Cody Bellinger hopefully puts butts in seats, and that's what he's looking for. He's looking for a guy who's going to put butts in seats, and everyone who's going to be begging and pleading for Blake Snell. Blake Snell doesn't put butts in seats. Even
No, he
if you
doesn't.
go to watch Blake Snell pitch, you're watching him pitch maybe twice in a week. Where if you're going to watch Cody Bellinger, you're watching him play 7 times in that week, 6 times in that week. So I think the Angels are more likely to spend on Cody Bellinger than they are Jordan Montgomery or Blake Snell.
Jared.
I don't know. I don't know. I I'd like to hope that the Angels are in, but when you hear that the Angels are in on guys, it probably doesn't mean that they're in on guys. We saw it all off season, so I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. It'll be very interesting to see. I mean, I know they're in on a lot of smaller guys. I know they're not done. You can't be done, but you got to get a little bit deeper. But is a big name in their future? I don't know, man. I don't know.
You mean like Hunter Strickland?
Hey, Hunter Strickland's a good sign. Take it.
Is that your big dog?
That's all I've asked for. That's all we've asked for
Oh,
this entire
how about
offseason is
No,
guys
it's not
that
all I've asked for.
no. Let me finish my shit. Jeez, come on, man.
Go ahead.
That's all you've asked for is guys that have been
It's not
there and
true.
done it before.
I've asked for starting pitching depth. We have not gotten a starting pitcher on a minor league deal ever. Go get a dang starting pitcher. We have no starting pitching.
Yeah,
Tyler
Zach,
Anderson sucks.
please, Zach.
Griffin Canning has had one good year, and it wasn't even that good. You got Chase Silseth coming off a ball to his head. We haven't seen Reed Detmers. He's been up and down, and Patrick Sandoval. What's he going to cry about now? Who knows?
Well, I mean,
And
apparently they're in on Ahmed Rosario.
That's huge. That's huge for the team.
I mean,
you got to get
another
deeper.
PK
infielder.
makes more sense.
You got to get deeper. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. What did you say that the Las Vegas came out with their
BetMG came out with 71.5
71.5 wins.
over
71.5. I'll take the over, but 71.5.
I think it's
The
over.
fact that it's that low is crazy
It seems
because
low.
that tells you how bad they think this team is. And you've got Artie and Perry running around saying, "Oh, this team's so much better. We've plugged so many more holes. We've gotten better. Yeah, we need to make a couple more moves, but we're right there." And it's like, you're feeding us the same Oakland A's crap of, "Hey, just trust us. We'll be good."
Well, that's 10 years of wasted trust, really. But I mean, I'll give him credit for this. I still believe, like, not hold on, let me phrase it right, because I don't believe that. All right, 10, 15 years ago, a manager meant everything. A manager was 10, 15, 20 wins. I don't really believe that anymore. But I do believe Ron Washington is a solid manager who will have them playing good fundamental baseball. They'll play better. They're going to be over 71. I think it's worth a few wins. I just don't. I'm overall. I'm probably the most pessimistic I've been about the Angels in a decade. I think last season broke me. Really did. And when we have our numbers, when we're talking about a podcast tonight, and we're thinking, okay, we're going to talk about Hunter Strickland, we're going to talk about Kiki Hernandez and Ahmed Rosario and some guy named Ehire. How do you say that name? Ehire? Ehire? Adrianza? All right. So, I mean, 34-year-old infielder, as if we didn't have enough already. I'm not feeling real keen on this year. I don't want to be that way the entire year, but there has to be some silver lining here, Jared. And you're usually the one who will find a silver lining. So what is it?
I've been saying it all off season. You're young. You have a core group of guys. But 2024 might not be the year, right? Like you're building for 2025 and beyond that with this core group of guys. You have another four picks in the first 3 rounds, which, it is what it is. You have a pick in the top 10. You have your highest pick since they picked Erstad, or when I don't remember when they had a pick higher than this. So if you go into the draft and have a decent draft, and you're able to continue to build around your young core group of guys, you're onto something. Now, I mean, you want like silver lining. Nobody was counting in the Diamondbacks last year, but also the Diamondbacks don't happen on a yearly basis either. So there's that. But yeah, if you want a silver lining, the Diamondbacks made it to the World Series last year. Weren't even considered. I mean, they sold at the trade deadline. Basically, they didn't go and make any big trades or anything. What?
They bought.
Kind of.
What do you mean, kind of? They got their closer.
They were selling, man. Like, it was
bought.
What?
The Diamondbacks?
They bought. What part of getting an elite closer from a team that the Mariners were selling?
They sold before. They sold before getting their
You
closer.
guys bicker that out. Let me go make sure we're checking our records here on the Diamondbacks.
Nobody has. I'm just saying, like,
they're buying. They were buying.
That's fine. I mean, I don't think they were buying. I don't think they were buying. I think they were trying to get better for the future. Yeah, but I don't think they were necessarily buying and trying to make a.
Paul Sewald's not buying.
Who they trade before Sewald?
Trade for or
they traded their closer
Andrew
away.
Chafin, I believe, reliever from Milwaukee.
They were trading away before that. So, like I said, I mean, you want silver lining.
Who were they trading away? Find me a guy they were trading away.
Traded away Chafin. They traded away a few. Didn't they trade away a few guys, or maybe not? Maybe I could be wrong. But
I'm checking for you right now. Going back to June of last year.
They might not have, but like I said, it felt like early on they were selling. They were selling some guys away, and then they made one trade for Sewald. And we said the same thing about the Mariners too, right? The Mariners did the same thing.
The Mariners were selling.
Yeah, the Mariners were selling and they end up getting better. So, but I mean, if you want silver lining while you guys are looking that stuff up, silver lining, they're young, they have a core group of guys to build around. Um, and you know, that's really it right now. You know, you have the starting rotation of Patrick Sandoval and Reed Detmers who are there for the future, and Chase Silseth are there for the future. You have the bullpen with probably Sam Bachman. You have the bullpen with Ben Joyce and maybe some other guys there for the future. And you have Zach Neto, Logan O'Hoppe, Nolan Shanwell, you know, Mickey Moniak's here long term, Mike Trout. You have a core group of guys to build around. You just gotta do it the right way. So
Hey, I'm gonna go with Nate here. They bought.
did they?
It's pretty clear they
Tommy
bought. They
Pham
went
as
and
well.
got their closer, then they went and got Tommy Pham from the Mets.
I think they traded Chafin early and everybody's like, oh, they're
No,
selling.
they
And then they
traded
got hot.
Chafin after they got Seawald.
Did they?
Yeah, they
Yeah.
traded him on
It
the
felt like I
1st of
thought they traded
August.
my bad then. I thought they traded Chafin early and then they got a little hot and then they're
No,
like, you know
they
what, let's
they
go.
got Seawald. They were like, "Whoa, the Mariners are going to give us Seawald for nothing." Well, now we can trade Chafin because he hasn't pitched good lately, and they
Okay.
got something for him. And then they went and got Tommy Pham, which helped the outfield because they're very left-handed in the outfield. They go get a righty who hits lefties really well, so they were buying.
Then I'm wrong there on that. But I mean, the Angels and the Diamondbacks are in similar spots. Like nobody thought they were going to compete. The Diamondbacks had probably got a better farm system, but nobody thought they were
Probably.
going to compete last year in a very good division.
Okay, well, hold on. I mean, let me go back to last year, the Diamondbacks, and so they're. If we want to compare the Diamondbacks of last year, the Angels of now, let's do that. The Angels of last year. So the Diamondbacks last year had first base. They had Christian Walker, who has been iffy but had a comeback year.
Big power guy
Ketel
though.
Marte had a big comeback year last year. Saved me a couple of fantasy leagues, to be honest with you. Gurriel had a nice recovery year last year. You had Corbin Carroll with his outstanding rookie year. There's 4 guys right there who stepped up. Then you go into pitching. Merrill Kelly,
They're
remember
deep.
him?
They're deep pitching wise. I
Okay.
like what they've built there. I'll
Well,
say that.
I'm talking about last year. Merrill
Yeah.
Kelly, and of course Zach
Kelly
Gallen being
basically
there.
built on his year before, though. Like that's what we've been
Yeah,
asking the Angels guys to do. Like you look at 2022 from Kelly, he was a 3.37 and 33 starts, and then 2023 he goes 3.29 and 30 starts. So like he just continued on what he did in 2022. On top of Zach Gallen just being one of the best pitchers in the National League, which again the Angels don't have. The Angels don't have one of the best pitchers in the American League, which is the difference between the playoff really good teams and the teams that are pretending.
I mean,
You need elite starting pitching.
I just want to point this out. You're absolutely right. And if you look at the Angels rotation right now, the only guy I think who has the potential to be a Gallen potential would be Detmers, and Detmers has been all over the place. So I'm going to ask you guys, look at the roster right now. At the roster right now. And I rattled off 4 guys who turned things around last year. Plus, they had their rookie. Plus, they had a couple pitchers. That's pretty much it. That's what
2
turned their
rookies,
team around.
Gabriel Moreno as well.
Okay. Who
Really
on
good
this
young
roster
catching
right
prospects.
now could you see mirroring what happened with the Diamondbacks, Jared?
Mike Trout, Anthony Rendon, Taylor Ward. I mean, you get those 3 guys back. Like it's considerable. A lot of those guys didn't play. Those guys missed half the season, if not more. So I mean, you're banking on guys coming back from injury there for sure. But you know, it's not bad. You missed a lot of Zach Neto last year. You missed a lot of Logan O'Hoppe last year. You know, so yeah, like you got guys that can do that. The pitching staff wasn't very good. I think the higher upside guy is Patrick Sandoval. But I think that he needs to, you know, be able to pitch
Grow up.
better. Yeah, he needs to be able to pitch better and grow off the year before that and pitch how he did in the World Baseball Classic and things like that. But yeah, I mean Reed Detmers is a phenomenal pitcher. We like the upside of Chase Silseth. Griffin Canning looked good when he came back. I don't want to hype this team up because expectations.
That's what you're doing.
I want to come into the season low, but like, you know, you got some guys that stay healthy. You're getting, you know, Mike Trout back. That's certainly helpful. And you have a good young core group of guys. So
That's the thing is you're
Who's
talking
the
about
Corbin Carroll of this team though? Like who's the young kid who's going to be rookie of the year type of guy?
Was he the best
because
player? Was Corbin Carroll the best player on their team last year?
yes.
Okay, then Mike Trout. Like he's not
No,
young,
no,
but
no. I'm not,
young.
I want a kid, right? Like because you're comparing them to the Diamondbacks. The Diamondbacks are young and fun. They had some veterans, right? Like Derek mentioned, Christian Walker was that guy who kind of reverted back to where he'd been. He hit 33 homers, he hit 260. Like if Trout does that, like we're ecstatic, right? Like Trout could easily hit 280, hit 35, 40 bombs, whatever. But like you are comparing him to one of the youngest, most fun teams in Major League Baseball right now, right? Like you're comparing him to a group that has a top 10 prospect at shortstop. You're comparing him to a group who had a top 5 prospect in the outfield last year, who had MVP votes and won Rookie of the Year by a landslide. Who is that guy for the Angels, right? Like you're also talking about a team who traded for a top 10 prospect in all of baseball and comes in and like that's Logan O'Hoppe. You could say, even though O'Hoppe wasn't a top 10 prospect in baseball, but him and Gabriel Moreno could be very similar. But like, who is the guy that's going to step up and be an MVP candidate that is young? Because like, yeah, the Diamondbacks had the Mike Trouts, right? Like not Mike Trout exactly, but they had a guy who put up really, really good numbers. Who is going to be that guy who's going to put up stupid numbers that we're not expecting to put up stupid numbers? Because I guarantee you, if you asked Arizona last year, what's Corbin Carroll's numbers? They go, in a perfect world, he hits 270. Yeah, he hits 15 bombs. He steals 30 bags. He has a really good rookie year, probably wins rookie of the year, but, there's some other guys, right? You're If Mike Trout puts up those numbers I just said, you're saying that's a disappointing year, right? Like everyone who's putting Mike Trout numbers out there, it's like, well, he's hitting 270, 30 plus bombs. Like that's what you're expecting on Mike Trout on a worst case scenario.
Is
Obviously,
that
there's a best case scenario, but who's the young kid who's going to have a shot to actually show like, hey, this is
are
the
those
next
numbers that Carroll
star?
put those numbers that Carroll put up are Mike Trout numbers? Like you asked me
I I
who's
know, but you're
Trout.
expecting Mike Trout to put up those
You need
numbers.
other
Like
guys
the
you need other
reason,
guys to step up, right? Like
yes,
the
that's what
Diamondbacks
I'm
are coming
saying.
into this season expecting Carroll to be that guy, right?
They were not expecting him to be
No,
this
no, no,
good.
Well, but
exactly.
they also, and if we're talking about this, they already have, like their other top prospects coming up this year to play full time, hopefully.
No, no,
The Diamondbacks are going to be even better this year. Should be.
Jordan Lawler's a piece. They have a good,
Yep.
like I said, I love the way they built the rotation. And yeah, I mean, they made some good acquisitions this off season as well. So yes, I'm not comparing them to this season. Last season, probably in pretty similar shape, right? Like we were talking about the Diamondbacks being good, 2025, 2026, but they had guys step up. They had guys, you know, they had a perfect season. Like in all honesty, like they had the perfect season, and that's what it took, and that's what it takes to win a World Series. Though we make it to the World Series is almost like a perfect season. You don't have teams that have off years. It's not like football where you can have somewhat of an off postseason, and still make it to the Super Bowl. Like I mean, we talked Patrick Mahomes this year. He didn't have a good year. He was good.
Regular season. Postseason, dude was outstanding, but regular season, like Houston Astros have sleptwalked through the regular season. We've seen it. Like
Dodgers.
there are teams
Exactly.
we have seen
Playoffs are
teams
different.
sleepwalk
Playoffs are a
through it and
different.
make it to the
Playoffs are a
Super Bowl.
different beast, man. Like we said this since day one, the playoffs are a different beast, and you get to the playoffs, you never know what's going to happen. Happens every single season. I mean, who had the Diamondbacks against the Rangers last year, right? Like I don't think anybody really had that pegged as the World Series matchup. I mean,
At the Rangers, but
you could say the
the
Rangers,
Diamondbacks.
yeah, you can say the Rangers, but I mean, nobody had that as the matchup. So, um, yeah, I mean, you never know what's going to happen. Like I'm excited for Ron Washington. Like we've been asking for some veteran leadership in the clubhouse. I think Ron brings that to the table. We've been asking for defensive help. I think Ron Washington brings that to the table as well. So, yeah, like is there a silver lining? Like they could still win 75 games. Absolutely, they can still win 75 games, but you have a fun young core group of guys that you are hoping that can make that next step. And I think Ron Washington puts them in a good spot to take that next step into competing into 2025. Like I said, I'm not expecting them to compete this year. I really am not. Now if they go get Blake Snell and they go get Cody Bellinger and they go get Jordan Montgomery, some reason they spend $85 million or whatever, not $85 million. Actually, it'd probably be pretty close to that, $90 million on all three of those guys. Then sure, like we can talk about them competing this year, but like again, they needed to have the perfect offseason. They haven't had the perfect offseason. They didn't want to go out and spend that money. They still have a lot of money to spend. And yeah, like silver lining, you have a good young core group of guys. I'm gonna continue to say that. That'll be the thing for me this whole season is can those good young core group of guys step up and get to the next level? Haven't seen that yet out of this organization.
I mean, when you look at the Angels roster, there are good young guys. Is there anybody that you think has a giant ceiling to step up again? And you're talking about you pinpoint Rendon. I mean, do we really have faith in Rendon at this point to do anything more than 40 games?
I mean, yeah, I always have hope that he's going to play 60 games or 70 games, but yeah, I mean, go into the season with what you get. Like, what's a successful season for Anthony Rendon playing 100 games? Like, we're like, yeah, like he missed less than half a season. He played 60% of the games. Like, that's a success for. You can say the same thing about Trout though, too, right?
You're paying
like,
him too much to just be happy with 100 games, man.
Well, you're paying guys a lot. You're paying guys a lot of money to do a lot of different things. So, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. Again, I mean, you hope you're getting 120, 130 games out of Anthony Rendon, but have yet to seen that yet. But when he's on the field, he helps the team. Like at the end of the day, I think we've said this from the beginning. Anthony Rendon, when he's on the field, he helps the team. They're a better team with him in the lineup when he's not. You can say that about a lot of guys too, but yeah, I mean, if you're looking for that guy to step up, I mean, Logan O'Hoppe could be that guy for sure. That hits 40 home runs this year. Plays good behind the dish. Come on, like he could.
But,
40? No, I can see 25, 30.
Let's just get every Angel fan thinking Logan O'Hoppe is going to hit 40. I mean, when's the last time you had a legit catcher hit 40? It doesn't happen very often. Like, let's set the expectations where they should be. He'll probably, like, in a good year, he hits 270 with 25 bombs.
Sure.
And don't give me this crap that he was on pace for 52 homers before he got hurt. I'm watching Sac State's guy right now. That guy's on pace to get hit over 300 times this year.
That'd be fun.
Let's talk about what it is. Like, we could talk about predictions and projections all we want, but like that's not going to help us. Like, big deal. You're projected to hit 52 homers. Like, we're for week 1 of college baseball, and we got guys that are projected to have 200 RBIs because they had 7 RBIs in their first weekend. Like, how many of those guys are actually going to get there? 0. So the predictions and the projections off of what he could have been if he was healthy are unrealistic. And let's be realistic with where we're at. He's a 270 hitter with 25 homers. If he exceeds that, you're ecstatic. But we're not going to set the bar of, oh, he's going to hit 40 homers, or he could hit 40 homers.
All I said
because
he could hit 40 home runs. I don't.
Okay, and Nolan Schanuel could close his eyes and hit 40 home runs too. Like, we could play this game all we want. Patrick Sandoval could close his eyes and have an ERA of 2.2. Like, you can play that game all you want of what could happen, but like, let's be realistic with where the Angels have been the last 10 years, right? Like, if we're realistic, Logan O'Hoppe probably hits about 270. He hits about 18 to 20 homers, and we're going, hey, he had a really good year for a catcher. Let's just be honest.
He did. But, I mean, I see 25, 30 max from him, dude.
All I said is he could.
25, 30 max.
He could break
Barry
the home
Bonds
run
could
record.
come back.
I sense a little bit of
like, I don't know.
I sense a little bit of I'm with Nate a lot in this.
Barry Bonds is going to come back, come out of retirement. He's going to DH only for the Angels. He's going to hit 50 bombs this year. I just feel it. He could. He could. It's not going to happen, but it's possible. That's what Jared's telling me.
Anything else you want to predict, Jared?
I
Nate's
got
gonna annihilate
else.
today.
I've said I've set the bar low. I said they're going to win 75.
You just said the catcher's going to hit 40 bombs.
I did not. I said he could.
Yes.
I said he could.
That's set the bar up. You just
He's not going to play enough games for 40 home runs, man.
Zach Neto could be the starting shortstop in the All-Star game. Like, it could happen. He plays well.
I believe that more than 40 home runs from Logan O'Hoppe.
And that's even a stretch. I mean, look at how many legit shortstops are in the American League. Like, Bobby Witt Jr., Corey Seager. Like, you can go on and on with all these shortstops. And could he? Sure. But, like, again, let's set the bar. He hit 225 last year or something like that. Like, let's not act like he was a MVP front runner before he
This
got
is
hurt. Like
this is coming off me saying that this is like a fun young core group of guys, and I didn't even actually like really compare them to the Diamondbacks, but we got off on the Diamondbacks for some reason. All I said is, like the Diamondbacks weren't supposed to win the World Series, go to the World Series, make playoffs. So like, Angels, young, fun core group of guys that need to take the next step. They haven't done that yet. Like, could Logan Hoppy at 40? Yeah, he could. Could Zach Neto bat 300 with 15 home runs at the first half and be the starting shortstop for the All-Star game? Absolutely. It could happen. It might not. Like,
Okay.
baseball season's here.
Yay. But man, I haven't been on the show for a while. Has it been like this
no.
the last
No,
month or
Jared hasn't been pulling random crap out of thin air saying, hey, in a great year,
Nate,
Patrick Sandoval is going to have a 1.96 ERA and he's going to go 22-3.
so let's
Nate's
do that.
Nate's upset that his starters gave up 14 runs this weekend.
I'm upset
got
that
to play
Jared
2
is
games.
telling people that the Angels are going to have 3 guys that are going to be MVP candidates by themselves, let alone we just said the Angels over under is 71.5, but they're going to have 3 MVP candidates.
I propose, since let's be honest, since it's still February and we need freaking content, I propose this. Since we're going to do this, I propose a series of podcasts, the next 3-4 shows, where we talk about the ceiling and the floor of each person on the current 40-man roster. What do you guys say?
As long as his ceiling for everyone is in 350 with 45 homers,
this
we'll
could
be
either
okay.
be some great baseball discussion or Jerry Springer train wreck. Either way, it works for entertainment value. We got it. I'm just saying. This is what I propose. We guys say, yay or nay?
Sure, but Nate, you got to remember that the Angels have had 2 MVP candidates the past 6 years,
yes,
and they haven't won more than 45 games. So having 3 MVP candidates doesn't even mean they're going to be a 500 team. So
yeah, but one of those MVP candidates won't be an eye guy that doesn't want anything to do with the rest of the squad. So yeah, I'm throwing haymakers today.
But wait, I thought that guy was like talking about how much he loved his time as an Angel and how much the Angels had every opportunity.
And that's why all the
him.
Angels are like, we knew that was happening in January of last year. Congrats, he got his money. Nobody has really said anything of like, oh man, like we really miss him. Everyone's just kind of like, hey, cool, he got his money. Hope he does well.
Was Trout's statement was he thought pretty much all last year. And,
Patrick Sandoval, same thing. Like all Reed Detmers, he completely ruined my schedule. I didn't know when I was pitching, where I was pitching. Like,
Detmer said that.
Yeah,
we should talk about that. Not being running out of time, but the Shohei effect, because you guys have hinted at before the move to a 6-man rotation, how that affects everybody. We're going to be seeing a 5-man rotation straight up now the entire time. We really should talk about that. And this is also the reason why I don't believe the idea of the 71 win. I think it's more than that. I think the guys the Angels have are, I know there's no aces here, but decent. I think we'll see better pitching as a addition by subtraction there. I just want to say, because these guys can actually be on a normal schedule.
Yeah.
Well, the name of the game when it comes to pitching, this is coming from 2 pitchers here, by the way, Derek, is consistency and knowing when you're doing what. So yeah, that's a huge part of it. And that was something that we've said forever about a 6-man rotation, and Shohei Ohtani in particular. You can run a 6-man rotation out there as long as it stays consistent. But I mean, I think the last 6 years,
and even that it still sucks.
I would say the last 6 years, I didn't look at the starting rotation. I didn't know what the starting rotation was, right? Like you didn't know who was going what day until Jeff or Rhett came out, that week with the rotation. So, or you looked at MLB.com. So
I don't see Ron Washington as being that kind of guy either. I think they're gonna be pretty settled.
Ron's already said that he wants consistency out of guys, and mainly out of the position players. But what you're going to see is probably going to be pretty similar to what you saw in Atlanta. Like you're going to get guys that are going to play every day. You're going to get consistency, and I think it's going to help a lot of guys. You know what your role is coming into it. So that's again something that we've been asking for the past 6 years is just get consistent with guys. So it'll be fun. I know we don't have too much more time here, but yeah.
All right, closing thoughts, Nate.
Throw strikes. That's the biggest thing. If this starting rotation can throw strikes, we'll be all right. I was just looking at just for fun. Patrick Sandoval had 74 walks in 144 innings. The year before, where he had a 2.92 ERA, 60 walks in 148 innings. So that's a big difference. That's 14 extra base runners getting on in 4 less innings.
He just wasn't. He didn't look good last year at all. He really didn't. But
Angels
that'd be
were
different.
third in walks, by the way, offensively or on the mound. They were third in walks on the
I know
mound
you don't.
last
I
year.
know you don't like this, and he came from the Dodgers, but I mean, look at Tyler Anderson's walks last year compared to his last year with the Dodgers. It was like 8 times the amount that he had. I know you're coming from the Dodgers, but it was like he walked 80 guys with the Angels and he walked 20 guys with the Dodgers. Something it was something crazy like that when you go and look at it. 30
How do you
guys.
finish? How do you finish with the third most walks in Major League Baseball and say you're competitive? Like that's a joke.
My biggest question, like in Anderson's case, what changed so much that his walk rate went up 4 times, like from 20 to 80? Like how does that? What happened? That's what I'd like to know. I'd love to talk to somebody about that. But we're out of time. We get 3 minutes left until this thing shuts off. We want to make sure we shut off in time. So follow Jared at Jared_Tibbs on X. Follow Nate at Nate Green 34. Follow me at DCPaul and follow the Talking Halos handle on X. In the meantime, you'll find us at anywhere podcasts can be found, especially on YouTube. We're out of here. Have a great one.